In 1979 Alaska, Carl is a lumberjack taking his load into town. Suddenly, the truck before Carl is lifted. It's dropped and lands on Carl's bumper. Carl finds the driver is okay, but a giant saucer-like spaceship is flying above them. Carl runs into the woods, but the saucer tracks him and emits a huge force field that pulls him into the spaceship. Currently, Isaac arrives at the NASA Jet Propulsion branch where he interns as a computer engineer alongside his friend Beck. The central computer has been receiving anonymous messages from Canada. Later that evening, Isaac sees a notification on the computer that some data has been auto-received. Certain trauma causes Isaac to attend therapy sessions. In one session, his therapist advises him to keep a video journal for 5 minutes daily. Isaac starts recording himself and everything around him. He's in the California hills making his vlog when a large object falls from the sky into the mountains. Everybody in Pasadena sees the thing but cannot discern what it is. The military responds instantly, so Isaac hides from them, intending to inch closer to the object. He manages to record the saucer spaceship before it vanishes. He senses something behind him, and when he slowly turns around, he sees an alien. The alien walks away, causing Isaac to follow it. Isaac's colleagues are worried 3 days later as he's not come in for work. Isaac wakes in the California hills. Luckily, he has his camera, and watching the recording confirms that the aliens had abducted him. His hand feels weird, and he has double vision. In his room, his TV disappears before his eyes. He investigates this, and his hand reaches into a strange force field where the TV is. Suddenly, the TV reappears. Isaac does the same thing with his camera but doesn't understand what is happening. He visits a doctor who is fascinated by Isaac's hand. It has a precise fracture, unlike the typical fractures people get. He promises to look more into the case as he too cannot understand it. Isaac rushes into work, horrified to learn he has been missing for 3 days. He pulls Beck aside and shows him the disappearing act with a cup. However, Beck needs clarification as, to him, the cup never disappeared. Frustrated, Isaac uploads the videos from his camera to a UFO Curious website and sleeps. When he wakes up, he finds the video has gone viral and numerous TV stations want to interview him. Isaac's first interview goes awry when the reporter suggests he could have made up the whole incident at work. Many people believe in alien abductions, but a few think the video is fake. Afraid of what has happened, Isaac reaches out to UFO forums for someone with similar stories. He finds one account and asks for a meeting. Isaac is waiting in a diner when he realizes he can bend space as things around him start floating. The account's owner, Sarah, walks into the diner. The two speak for a while, with Isaac recounting all the times aliens have been spotted on Earth. He fears that NASA covers up the sightings and people who claim to have seen aliens disappear. Sarah shares the incident in 1979 when Carl went missing after coming up with the alien abduction story and failing a polygraph test. The two part ways with promises to keep digging into what's happened to them. Sarah's story is similar to Carl's, including the strange fracture on her arm. Determined to prove his story true, Isaac makes copies of the video recording, intending to ship them out to various news stations. He has difficulty carrying the envelopes, so a man offers to help. He confesses to be an author and would love to put Isaac's story on paper. Isaac is initially reluctant but agrees to work with the author. The author proposes that Isaac take a lie detector test to prove his authenticity. Isaac decides to take the test and the author hooks him up with the machine. After the test, the author leaves the room convinced that Isaac is telling the truth. Suddenly, two men in black enter the room and apprehend Isaac. He tries to run away, but they impale him with electric tasers. Two robots escort Isaac into a white room for interrogation. Agent Graves is on the other end, and he explains his actions for society's betterment. He urges Isaac to cooperate, but Isaac incessantly questions his and Sarah's whereabouts. Graves asks Isaac about Carl's location, letting it slip that he was last seen in British Columbia. He asks his men to take a break to refocus, giving Isaac a chance to escape. He frees Sarah, but the security alerts bring more robots into their location. Isaac manages to open a locked door with his mind and escape the bunker, finding themselves in Costa Rica. Graves learns of the breach and orders his men and some robots to go after them, suspecting they'll be headed to British Columbia. The couple reaches the nearest town and asks for someone with a computer to help them. A local waitress directs them towards a hacker called Zed. Zed agrees to help them but promises to abort if he finds out they're lying. Suddenly, the robots reach the location, so Zed helps the duo flee into his treehouse in the woods. Zed reveals that the robots are dispatched by an international research group funded by the United Nations agency. Isaac wants to locate Carl as fast as possible since he believes he has all the answers he needs. Zed asks him to relax while he gets to work, prompting him to hang out with Sarah. The two bond over life experiences and how dramatic they became after the alien abduction. Both are frustrated for being called crazy when they try to share their stories. Zed cannot find a trace of Carl anywhere. Luckily, Isaac remembers British Columbia and the strange messages sent from Canada. Zed hacks into the main computer in Isaac's office, allowing him to retrieve the messages and Carl's location. Isaac tries calling Carl's computer, but he hangs up. He tries again and explains himself fast before Carl hangs up again. He explains that he had intercepted Carl's message, resent it on the company's satellite, and received a message that night. The elderly Carl demands the message, so Zed retrieves it and sends it to him. He quickly downloads the message, learning that the aliens will be back on Earth in British Columbia in 5 days. Carl tells Isaac and his friends to go home right before he shuts down the entire computer system. Isaac wants to find Carl, but Sarah refuses to go through the alien stuff again. Isaac claims he must find Carl, but would love it if Sarah accompanies him. Sarah agrees, and the trio embarks on the journey to find Carl. They enjoy the beautiful scenery, the dolphins, and the surrounding nature. Throughout the trip, Isaac and Sarah start falling for each other. Meanwhile, Graves and his men continue tracking the couple until they reach Canada. The trio has to take a train to reach Carl, so Graves sends 2 robots to apprehend them. In the train, Zed quickly suspects they are being followed just as the robots enter the cabin. The trio wears masks to confuse the robot's facial recognition feature. The plan initially works with the first robot, but the second isn't as fooled. He retrieves his weapon to shoot Isaac, causing a chase to ensue. Luckily, the trio manages to kick the robots off the train and safely reach their destination. Carl emerges from his house with a rifle, so Isaac reminds him that they spoke. He gets a machine and deactivates the tracking machines before allowing them into his cabin. Carl shares his story, which is similar to the couple's. He has waited for years to get a signal from the aliens. A storm is brewing outside, so the group decides to wait for the aliens' arrival in 2 days. Sarah plays music on Carl's jukebox to lighten the mood, while Zed is fascinated by Carl's instruments. Sarah and Isaac spend some time together, wondering whether they had been exposed to something dangerous, as Graves' men said. Isaac assures her they are okay, and the two enjoy the ambiance in the woods. Meanwhile, Graves and his men continue tracking the couple, with him asking for extra backup as he intends to capture the group using any method necessary. Carl warns Isaac that he will get one chance to speak with the aliens, so he mustn't miss it. On the arrival day, Isaac leaves the house despite Sarah's warnings. Once again, he comes across some aliens and takes them back to the cabin. The alien reveals that his species has gained all the world's knowledge and now wants to understand the universe's origin. The alien wants to ask a question, so the group allows him to. The alien shows them pictures of a man, believing him to be important in the creation of the universe. The man turns out to be Jesus Christ, and the aliens ask if the group has further questions. Sarah asks why their arms still hurt, and the alien shows them a tracking device planted in the cut. Suddenly, the motion detector sends an alarm just as Graves calls out for Carl. Carl walks out with a rifle. It turns out he and Graves know each other, as Graves' father had been a lumberjack and was abducted by the aliens but never returned. Graves has his men shoot Carl, and Sarah runs outside. Graves shoots Sarah as well and calls out for Isaac. The alien removes Isaac's tracker and urges him to use his senses, allowing Isaac to unleash his telekinetic and chronokinetic powers. He slows time and takes all of his friends away from the cabin. The aliens resurrect Carl and Sarah while Graves walks into the house and finds no one. 6 months later, Graves has been fired from his job. Zed and Carl are working together on a project, while Isaac and Sarah are dating and living happily in Costa Rica. Do leave a comment telling us your favorite part of the movie. Hit the like button, subscribe to our channel, and hit the notification bell so you don't miss the next recap. Until next time, folks, take care and goodbye.